Kids Playground.
Hooray!
This is the Deron Harris Podcast. Here's your host, Deron Harris.
Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining me again. Yo, man. A couple of weeks ago, I did a podcast, and the title of the podcast was The Children of the Lynch Mob, Where They Are Today. And man, let me tell you, listen, there are some really upset people about this, but at the same time, there are some people who actually did enjoy this topic. They were just as curious as I was. But like I said, there's some people who got way pissed off. I mean, like super pissed off about it. And I have all kinds of comments that really don't even pertain to the question that I asked. I mean, I got all kinds of answers from slavery. Somebody even took it all the way to China. And it had nothing to do with China. But that just goes to show you. I mean, that really just goes to show you at how offensive some people take things of this nature. Like, I'm not even supposed to ask this question. Like, how dare you even ask or pose that question to society? Man, let me tell you something about me. For those of you who don't know me, I mean, the people who know me, you pretty much know me. But the people who don't know me, let me just say this. If there's an issue about something and the issue is bullshit, then make no mistake about it, I'm going to call it out every time. And if you're upset about it, make no mistake about it. I'm going to say it right now, and I'll say it every time hereafter. I don't give a fuck, okay? If you're upset about it. If you're upset about it, get a podcast. Tell people about the shit that you're upset. Do what I do. This is exactly how this podcast came about. Was me being fed up with seeing a lot of the shit that I was seeing and not really having a voice to say anything about it and being frustrated behind it. Now, I have a platform. I have some people who listen to me. Some people who find me entertaining. Some people don't, and that's fine. But there's people who find me entertaining, find my subjects quite interesting, quite thought-provoking, and good. That's what I want, because it provokes thought. It provokes me to think. Things like this make me think. And if you think for 1 second that I don't recognize this, then you got another thing coming. If you think for 1 second that I don't believe that these people aren't city councilmen or circuit court judge. Now, this circuit court judge may have been 8 years old when he attended, and maybe he vowed to not let his upbringing influence his decisions at the bench. But how many people are in this position that still retain that ideology, that still hold on to the remnants of those days? Huh? You can't tell me that they're not here anymore, because yeah, they are. This didn't happen that long ago. It wasn't that long ago that this all happened. And people, they think that people are just supposed to get by it. And the reason that is because of the feeling of guilt, or they don't want to feel that feeling of guilt, or they don't want to feel like them or their race is being attacked for something that they did. Which brings me to one of my favorite adages that I actually created. And the adage is, people hate being guilty of the shit they're guilty of. And it's the fucking truth. They just hate being guilty of that. And I get it. I understand. It's really hard to sit and understand that this is what my ancestors did to these other people. Some people are disgusted by it. But some people wallow in it. Some people love it. Some people want it to go back to that way. And those are the people who get offended at just the the fact that I had the nerve to ask that question. The children of the lynch mobs, where are they today? Who are they in today's society? Some people are like, oh, it doesn't, well, I don't know why this is important. Well, because it doesn't affect you or your community. It's never affected you or your community. So I can understand where you may not understand. Fine. But I don't need you to understand. We don't need you to understand. We don't care if you understand. We don't care. Because this piece of content is not for you. I mean, it's for you if you want it to be, but this is for a specific group of people. And the people, they know who I'm talking to. They know who I'm talking to. Those are all the likes. I'm looking at the post right now. And I did this podcast maybe 2 weeks ago. And usually when I do a podcast, it gets a little bit of, and then it just dies down. Well, not this one. It's kind of come back, and now people are still liking it. People are sharing it more again, and people are still commenting negatively. But there are some good positive comments. There are some people who are genuinely confused and don't understand, and some of the people actually commented just seeing the title without realizing that it was an actual podcast. So I invite people to do this. Before you comment, jump on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts and download my podcast. Listen to it. Listen to the episode. I mean, I'm sure there were plenty of people who were brought there that didn't want to be there. Plenty. I'm sure there were plenty of people who were disgusted by it. I'm sure. I'm sure everybody that was there was not a willing participant. I'm just talking about the willing participants, the ones that are smiling, proud, standing there in these pictures, proud. So today's podcast, I've decided to dig back into that subject, really not into the subject. I'm going to go through the comments. I did it a couple of weeks ago with another podcast I did, and I kind of like doing it. I did a second episode about that same subject, and it also got some traction, and I'm going to do the same thing here and read some of the comments that have come about in my DMs according to this subject. So the title was The Children of the Lynch Mob, Where They Are Today. And so far, 178 people have liked it. 10 people are mad at it. 7 people are like, oh, wow. 5 people are sad about it. 4 people laughed. 3 people loved it. And 3 people really loved it. Okay? So that's where everything breaks down. That's where the numbers break down. So here are the comments. Oh, wow. 17 hours ago, a gentleman named Nate posted, I hope they're burning in hell. Okay, fair enough, Nate. Right out of the bat. I will say this. I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God. And because I believe in God, I do believe that judgment is coming for these people. And if you were there and you were a willing participant and you decided that this was great and you're walking around with human body parts and, be dragging people down the road by your car or lighting them on fire as they stood, tied to poles, then, yeah, I think there's a very special place in hell for these people, Nate. I really do. Another guy named Larry said, hopefully they're all dead. However, their children and grandchildren may still be alive and carrying that vital hatred with them. I get that, Larry. I really get that. But at the same time, like I just said, there probably were some people there that really didn't want to be there. And I'm not defending those people, but I kind of am. And the reason why is because when you're young, you ever been on vacation with your parents, you don't really get to say shit. You really don't get to interject or participate, or your 2 cents rarely goes heard. So, I mean, even church. You ever been dragged to church? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure a lot of this was the same, where people did find this, very entertaining, and the whole family's going to go out and we're going to watch this. And they did, but I'm sure some people just really didn't. Let's see. Let's unhide. So another gentleman named Warren said they need to go hang in prisons. Wow. Some people are very upset. Okay, Julian said in Congress and the Senate. Wow. Now, see, that comment got a lot of traction. That got 30 likes, laughs, or loves. And I believe that to be the most truthful or the most accurate. Maybe some of them didn't do anything, but maybe some of them did go on to make the laws that are standing in this country today against black people or people of color even. Maybe they are some of these people. I mean, I'm convinced that look at the I think it was one of the owners of the Dallas Cowboys, or the Dallas Cowboys owner. He was in the picture of Ruby Bridges when he was in the picture screaming and yelling, "Nigger!" Yeah. He owns the fucking Dallas Cowboys now. Or something like that. So, look, the thing about this is it's very important to a lot of people, because a lot of people never got any closure. So, and a lot of people are hurt and still hurt to this day. Their children, their grandchildren of these people that were abducted and murdered. Nobody ever thought about that. Nobody ever thinks about those people. I do. I think about those people and how they must have felt to learn that one of their loved ones was abducted and hung from a tree, or abducted and burned at a stake, or abducted and dragged down the road by a car, or because of racial hatred. So it is important to some people, while it may not be important to you. A guy named Jorge said, Texas Rangers were terrorizing and lynching Tijuanos and Mexican Americans left and right, and we never hear about that. That period of time is known as La Matanza. Wow. I replied to this gentleman, and I said, then I will do a podcast on that as well, my friend. This is the first that I'm actually hearing about this, and would love to know more. Thanks for sharing. And that's true. I would actually like to know more about that, because we don't hear about that type of stuff. That type of history is not taught to us. And thank you very much, Jose, for sharing that comment. But I will also say this to you, Jose. I understand your frustration, but you are quite capable of doing the exact same thing that I'm doing right now, is bringing awareness about these things. Start a podcast, man. Get up on the platform. I was pushed to do my podcast, and now I love doing it. I was pushed to do this. Now I love doing it because it gives me an opportunity to share things with people and learn things from people, and also to cover very, very tough topics that are extremely hard to talk about. So I've opened up a huge dialogue, which I'm also a part of, and I enjoy it. I want people to be aware of it. And I also want to know. I want to know the people that it offends. I really do. Because at least now I know who you are. There was another guy who here's my first comment. And this guy didn't even put his photograph up, and I went to the profile, and it's nothing. It's just a dummy profile. And this just goes to show you. So this guy said, look at the feet, because there's a picture that I posted with some feet dangling. He said, look at the feet, and he's laughing. And I put coward. And the reason why I put coward is because he's a coward. You're an absolute coward. You have to make a fake profile with no picture to hide and conceal yourself so you can say something racially hateful. because you're a racist. And you have every right to be a racist. But I'll tell you what, bro. I stand up in mine. My face is all over everything I'm on, man. And if I'm anti this or if I want to speak out against that, I speak out with my whole chest and both my balls and my dick, bro. I don't hide nothing. Okay? So you can sit up there and say all your little fucking comments that you want to, my man. But at the end of the day, really, you're a fucking coward. Okay? So Roger said, "Where are the boys?" Question mark, question mark, question mark. And I don't know. Larry came back and said, "In the crowd. They were all part of the mob, 100. But some of them are actually in the picture. And that's true. Some of them were actually part of the mob. Or their grandfathers or their fathers brought them, all right, we're going to go do this today. We're doing this today. It was something that was celebrated. It was something that was passed down and taught to people. This was taught behavior, instilled behavior. Think about that for a minute. This was instilled behavior. So then this other person, Mella, I don't know who this person is or where she's from, don't really care, but she believes she's a black lady. And she said, yeah, and some blacks made kids with them. And I said, okay. And she came back with all facts. I said, nobody said that it wasn't. And I came back again and said, but that's not even the subject. And she said, but it's the truth. And I said, and then she said, why, you mad? This hits home with you? And I said to Mella, you need Jesus. Why would this hit home? Maybe it hits home with you. Maybe you're one of the people who had kids with them. Mad? Please. It's absolutely hilarious that your comment is so off base and not even on the subject. It shows your ignorance and lack of empathy. Who gives a fuck if it's the truth or not? It wasn't the subject. That shows right off the bat that you are, that shows right off the bat that you are bothered. You're one of the ones that are bothered by it. Maybe it hits closer to home with you. Maybe you're one of these children who is now an adult. Now, if you would like me, Now, if you would like me to do a podcast on your subject or situation that you experienced, with sleeping with these people, then I will. Then you can comment all you want. Fair enough? You see, the issue with people like you is you don't care about these issues or people who suffered or their families or who was hurt by this or anything else but being a total and complete shit starter. That's fine. That's fine. But the funny thing is it isn't even a real profile. But actually it is. I went and found out that it actually is. 9 pictures of the same shit. Laugh, laugh, laugh. This profile is used by a cowardly troll to comment negatively about issues that are important to so many other people. So in that, your comment is in the wrong context, but within your right. It's okay that you're ignorant and divisive and itching to start shit and cause hurt. That's fine. And please, if it takes way more than this to make me mad. Is that the best you got? I love it. Some people just want to hear themselves talk. And that's what I replied so far. I haven't got a reply from her, but I wholeheartedly respect one. I really do. And I will be waiting patiently. And that's the thing. A lot of people just kind of let it roll off their back, and you're not supposed to respond to the people. You're supposed to just no, man, this is my podcast. I'm jumping in. I brought it up. I'm jumping in. A guy named Damien said, who really cares? And I told Damien, the 182 people who liked this post and the 37 that shared it, that was 37 at the time, my white show producer who actually suggested and approved the show really care, just to name a few. But I really don't care. But I really don't expect you to care or relate to this. That's just fine with us. This is not for you. And quite frankly, I couldn't care any less if you care or not. Just so we're clear, we don't need you to care. So thank you for your comment and keep it pushing. Now, I had some go back with this guy for a few minutes. He said, nope, I don't really care about the past too much as long as I don't recreate it. When you live in the past, you'll never have a future. And I laughed. Nobody said anything about you recreating anything. That's the hilarious part. And our future looks brighter and brighter, actually. My people are concerned because we're the ones who were hurt by this. So again, man, I don't expect you to care. I don't expect you to understand. And there are plenty of people who this actually matters to, and that's all that matters to me. And Damien said, do you realize that black people are not the only race enslaved on the planet? Every race on this planet has been enslaved at one point or another. You should really do your history lessons, bro. He said, here's some truth for you. So he sent me a Google ad that says people of every race and every color, which caused this actually made him go look this up, which is cool. He said people of every race and color. He sent me this Google photograph that said people of every race and every color have been enslaved. White people were still being brought and sold as slaves of the Ottoman Empire. Decades after American blacks were freed. Okay? But then I said to him, Damien, yeah, but I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about here. I'm talking about my people. I don't give a shit about none of that other shit, just so we're clear. Like, you don't care about this, I don't care about that shit. He said, that's right. I don't care about the slavery ended in 1865. It's time to move on. I said, I wasn't talking about slavery either, actually, but you're right. I'm going to move on. I wasn't even talking about slavery. White people have been enslaved. I wasn't talking about slavery. I was talking about the children of the lynch mob. That's what I was talking about. And that happened a lot. So many people began to deflect the question to so many other areas of this conversation. So many people were deflecting to other subjects. They were trying to encompass this into a larger, and I only asked something specific. But it just goes to show you how frustrated and angry and how mad people get when you start bringing up things like this about their past. This is why, this right here is exactly why the governor of Florida has decided to try and stop this from being taught in schools, things like this from being taught in schools. Exactly why. Exactly why. So my man Larry came back and said, they grew up to have children of their own. They passed it down, that vital hatred, unto you. You must be one of those grandchildren. And he jumped in there on the dude that was talking to me. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate you, homie. I appreciate you. So then a dude named Ray Maples, and this was kind of interesting. A guy named Ray Maples said, who cares? They were children. And Valerie Anderson said, Ray Maples, the children who were raised into hate, they grow up to, they are grown now, probably raised their children the same way. It sounds as if you're one of them children. That's what she said. So Ray Maples said to her, don't assume we give our children a chance to learn better, not just condemn them. Well, some of us do. Valerie went, don't assume, please, then same bastards are racist still and their spawns, which I don't necessarily agree with that. But I'll keep going. Ray went, you sound like a really nice somebody. God bless you and save your hateful soul. Valerie said, no hate. It's all not, no hate. All it's not in me to hate. I'm too full of love, but I stand on my previous comments. Racists spawning racists. But people can break those chains. People can break that. I know plenty of people who hate their parents because their parents are racists, who don't talk to their parents because their parents are racists. I know that specifically. So Ray went back, nasty belief system. It's what keeps racism alive. That and politicians trying to keep us fighting so we don't pay attention to what they're doing. Valerie said, not a belief system. Racism is alive and breathing. It never got dealt with. Trump opened up a can of racist nuts. Ray Maple, yes, I do see that you're being very racist. That Trump hatred is dumb, which I don't agree with that either, because he's a douchebag. And I that's another podcast. I mean, I've hated Trump way before his political career, before The Apprentice, and that's a personal thing. The Democrats run your plantation. Trump wants freedom for you. You're holding yourself back. No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. And one of the reasons I don't believe it is because Donald Trump took out a full-page ad to put 5 black youths in prison forever for the Central Park jogger case. They were innocent, and he never apologized to them. There's a lot of instances where Donald Trump has resorted to racism. There is a few articles that you can actually look up. I looked up one that said 21 times Donald Trump resorted to racism. And they're valid. And that's one of the reasons I have issues with him, because I'm from Brooklyn. And his father, not just him, but his father, him and his father, they were both sued. They were sued for discriminating against black and Latin renters. And when the city fined them, they didn't develop the property, and they let Coney Island go to shit. And they effectively destroyed Coney Island because they wanted a luxury. They wanted to rent to white people only. They were sued not once, but twice. So I'm not going to talk too much about him, but that's I don't believe, Ray, that this guy, that we're holding ourselves back. Valerie said, "You just can't fix stupid." Now, really, I really see your character. Hell, you're a damn MAGA Trump supporter, a maggot. Indeed, one of them experienced nut goths, whatever. Whatever. I keep going down. I said to Ray Maples. Oh, wait, there's 8 more comments. Let me go back up. Oh, yeah, it's because I did jump in. So then Ray Maples said, "My parents taught me to treat the janitor with as much respect as the CEO." This is Ray Maples to Larry. This is Ray to Larry. To treat him with as much respect as the CEO. So I think children deserve the opportunity to grow up on their own and become their own person. And you think that makes me a racist, bigot? Sad individual. But something that Larry had said earlier, I put facts to. Because he did. He said something factual. And I said to Ray Maples, if you actually listen to the podcast, I'd say that for some, I did say that some people may have had a problem from the beginning, but everybody isn't just reacting. But everybody is just reacting to the comment. That's okay. But Ray Maples said, Darren Harris, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was a podcast. You're right. I just responded to the comment, which I really respected that. I don't care who he voted for. I respected the fact that he cleaned himself up. He backed himself up and apologized for not taking the time to do all the research, just correcting the knee-jerk reaction that he had to the comment. So we went on to speak for a couple of seconds, and I said to him, no worries, I completely understand. And then I said to him, actually, I did. I made a mention of the children that were brought there who did not enjoy that and how traumatizing it must have been for them. I am convinced that not everyone who attended really wanted to attend. I believe that some of them were brought there against their will in efforts to indoctrinate them into that ideology. But obviously, for many people, that ideology did not stick. Ray Maples came back and said, right, I learned that kids grow up determined not to be the things they didn't like about their parents. For me, for instance, my dad was real talkative with other men. When my uncles were around, they cut up and joked and laughed and steady streamed about communications. But when it came to us boys, we could sit there all day in the same room with him, and he couldn't get a word out with him and couldn't get a word out of him. That did seem to irritate him. That didn't seem to irritate him. I decided way back that I would never be like that. And I talked with my kids. Funny thing is, I think they're just washed. I'd leave them alone. Now, they're probably grown up. Oh, they're probably just washed. I'd leave them alone. They're probably grown up, look like dad, and look. They're probably grown up treating the kids like dad did. It's a vicious cycle. And yeah, I agree with that. I mean, yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. Some people have parents that say, hey, you know what, man? I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to teach my kids the things that I was shown by my parents. There's some fathers out there, there's some parents that are out there that actually teach their kids the right things. Ask me how I know. Now, that's not to say there's still not droves of people teaching their children to continue to hate. But there are some really good people out there who have decided to take a stand against this behavior and ideology. Not just black people, white people. And I'm thankful for those people. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that those people have come to grips with the things that have taken place in this country. They are not afraid to confront it. They're not afraid to address it or talk about it. They're not afraid to ask me questions about how I feel about it. And in that, I have nothing but respect for that, because it shows that they genuinely care about not only that experience, but what they can do to make the experience here in today's society, what they can do to make that experience better, not just for them, but for everyone. I admire that. So, to keep it moving, Dion said Shelby County, Texas is where they all are. So they all just rode up to Texas, huh? But you know what, though? I listen. I could believe it. Oh, but Ray Maples did say this before our dialogue. He said, so what's the point of carrying this on to children? You didn't say. I said, it's because the children are adults now in our society. And that was where Ray and I actually began to have our conversation. And like I said, man, I really do appreciate the way, very tactful. I mean, really not necessarily coming from a place of hatred, but really coming from a place of curiosity and a place of inquisitiveness. He was inquisitive, really genuinely wanted to know. And I respect the fact that he respected how I feel and how I felt. I really respect that. He understood for a brief moment he could relate to how I felt or how anybody felt in the situation, simply because he asked the question. Okay, here we go. A guy named Patrick Barnes said, they're called Democrats. See, and this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. Who said anything about politics? Who said anything about Democrats or Republicans? They could be on both sides, as a matter of fact. But see, I'm more inclined to believe that it's people like you, Patrick, because you're so quick to call out somebody else. Now, I've had some words with this guy, Patrick. So here's several. So Edward Fleming said, 2 wings off the same bird of terrorism. Patrick went back to Edward, but at least us in the right aren't selling everything to China. Now we're talking about China, motherfucker, really? China. So Eric went back personally. Eric said back to Edward. I'm sorry. Edward said back to Patrick personally. I think my people should withdraw from both equally racist parties and form our own. Now that would be a trigger. That would trigger a coordinated response from both parties. So our best bet would be no black votes for either party, and watch the two sides rip each other to shreds while forming said political parties and invite other marginalized communities strictly for intimidation tactics. Now, wow. Politics. Here we go, man. Now, this is how I feel about politics and politicians. Fuck them. All right? Fuck them all. Fuck a Democrat and Republican. I'm going to vote for the person that I feel who has my best interest. But more and more increasingly, I'm starting to feel like, why vote for any of you? Because he's exactly right. Both sides are racists. You know, there's racists on both sides. I mean, they both have written policies to limit black people's access. They've both passed policies to incarcerate black people in large numbers, both Democrats and Republicans. So I don't have any love for either one of them. But if I had to vote, I'm definitely not going to vote for vote Republican, because I can't vote for somebody or a party that wants to erase my history. So I'm not ever going to vote Republican as long as that's the ideology. But I'll tell you what, it's getting harder and harder to vote as a Democrat because of that, because of those things. But anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. But I went on to say to Patrick, wow, this has absolutely nothing to do with China or politics, but somehow the right always seems to make it about politics. And really, who cares about China, man? Who gives a fuck about China? Damn. That's all I said. And he said, and this is what Patrick said, because he's given everything to him, dumbass. We're overrun by China. We're owned by China. Oh, China. Yeah. Right, wakes up and, China. Calm it down, bro. So I responded back. So now I'm a dumbass. Now I'm a dumbass. Actually, you're the dumbass. Still talking about politics in China when it wasn't even the subject of the podcast, you fucking moron. And then I laughed. He said, walk on, homeboy. I said, how about this? Worry about you, and I'll worry about me, and you walk your ass on. And I haven't heard anything from him since. But Julian responded to Patrick, one of the ones that switched sides to Republicans parties or stayed on the Democratic side, but they do all have one thing in common. Patrick said, I know, I've seen this coming for 35 years ago. I didn't fall for that dumb shit, but I also didn't watch TV for the last 25 years either. Too busy making money. I lack money. Now, I can make money, and that's my problem. This scampedemic put a big brick wall in my path that I had some health issues, still working through the residual effects. But this last 3 years has been nothing but treasonous acts against this country, the people and the world. This has been planned for a long time, and the people were blind. This motherfucker is ridiculous. This motherfucker is actually ridiculous. And that is what I'm talking about. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is that's hurt. He's hurt. Patrick is hurt by this. That someone would actually have the audacity to question where these people are. These God-sent good, upstanding folks of America, where are these people at? See, my problem is this. If they wanted to make the United States an all-white country, then they shouldn't have made it for everyone, period. They shouldn't have made it a refuge for immigrants. Look at Ellis Island. I mean, really, honestly, I'll tell you all like this. My people aren't, but everybody else pretty much, except for the natives and the Mexicans, they're all immigrants. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, they all came in from Poland and Germany and Italy and Ireland, France. They all came here. But now that they're here, we can't let anybody else in. especially not nobody of any color. See that? America is just so full of shit, folks. I mean, it really is. I mean, I'm an American, and quite frankly, I'm going to say I am proud to be an American. I like where I live. I like the lifestyle that I have. But make no mistake about it. America is full of shit. A lot. Full of it. Extremely hypocritical. Extremely hypocritical. Anyway, Julian replied back to Patrick, okay. Carlos said, still in Germany. This guy is ridiculous. Kyle commented, classic, thumbs up. That was, that's what he said. Thanks, Kyle. Geodice said, yep, and the police officers. Mm-hmm. Tommy said, this comment is hidden because it might be offensive. Tommy, so I'm going to unhide it. I haven't seen it. Some racial shit in the government needs lynched for sure. See? More hatred. But that's okay. We're going to keep it moving. Thomas said, I was just talking about this. That's right, Thomas. Because we all think it, man. We've all thought this. We've all been thinking about this. Where are these people at today? I bet you these are the people that are the reason I can't get a fucking home loan, or that my interest rate is so high, or that I can't get approved for anything, or I can't find a fucking job. People don't think about that, but that is very, very real. But a lot of the people who are like, oh, man, slavery, they don't understand it because, like I said, it's never affected them or their community. Never. Not even close. It's not even been something that they've even had to think about throughout the course of their lives. Some of these things have been on people's minds since it happened. I am going to take a break. Go see what's up with my wife for a couple of seconds. Get a drink, kind of clear my head. And when I come back, I'm going to read some more of these comments. You're listening to the Deron Harris Podcast.
Meow, 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 meow.
Cats ask for by name.
Now, back to the Deron Harris Podcast.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the show. Today, I'm reading my DMs that I have received. Actually, it's comments. It's comments for a post that was posted about my podcast a few podcasts ago, like 2 or 3 podcasts ago. But it's all of a sudden wildfire, and the question that I asked that has caught on is, the children of the Lynch mob, where are they today? And, man, a lot of comments, a lot going on here today. And when I left off, there was a guy named Thomas. And Thomas said, I was just talking about this. And this Thomas is who this podcast is for. Because he's curious. He wants to know, just like I want to know. Where are these people? I want to know, because they are somewhere, believe it or not. Some of them are smiling in your face. Believe it. So, moving right along, Larry came back and said, honestly, we're referencing a period of time from 1920 to 2022. So someone who was present at the time of the kidnappings and murder may still be alive and are guilty by association. And there's no statute of limitations on murder and kidnapping. Wow. But they were children. But some of them were adults, young adults. Some of those people were young adults in their 20s, perfectly capable of making their own decisions, perfectly capable of deducting or telling the difference between right and wrong. Perfectly within the age limit to make your own decisions. And they chose to stand there and be photographed. They chose that. They chose to stand there and be photographed. Now, this is my feeling on that. If you were there and you went because you wanted to go, you were excited to go, and you're over the age of 18, and you went because you wanted to go, you got together with some of your friends, and we didn't even go with our parents. We went because we wanted to go. We wanted to participate. Then I think you should be held accountable. I think that you should be held accountable for that, to answer a lot of people's questions. That's how I feel about it. I think that, yeah, all these many years later, if they catch your fucking ass, then you should be in jail. If not, receive the death penalty yourself. Jimmy said, when it's your turn, will you be so laughable? Woo, man. Then Jorge came back at Jimmy. You don't realize, you don't have the numbers, much less organization to achieve that. The logistics don't pan out. What? Jimmy Lewis, you never know what I have. You're not a god. Okay. This is what happens, is people start conversations amongst themselves. They start dialogue amongst themselves and start going in on each other amongst themselves. Some people have come to defend a lot of topics that I've brought about, and you can see the people who it matters to, who it actually matters to, because they are willing to sit up. They are very willing to sit up and listen, and also very passionate about what and how they comment. They really are. Larry came back. Welcome back, Larry. Only place I ever see massive amounts of WP, white people, are at pro sporting events and festivals. It's like a lie that y'all tell yourselves and all that gather together to make themselves look numerous. Let's be for real. Less than 1% of you actually know how to handle yourselves during hand-to-hand combat and are deathly afraid of BP. I don't necessarily agree with that either. I think that there are plenty of formidable people of all race out there. It's not just, this race or that race, but media has made that. The media has created that narrative that whites should be afraid of blacks because of so many years of demonizing blacks on television, the use of the word super predator. They've just made people afraid, the way that they are portrayed in the media when they're caught doing something, or they're just put down and made to be super aggressive and just super dangerous. And a lot of times that's not even true. Now, that's not to say if you come up on one of us and you trying to scrap or throw some hands, that we can't throw hands, because it's quite obvious and has been quite obvious for a long, long time that we can most definitely throw some hands with you, with any of y'all, with anybody from anywhere. We could damn sure stand up and throw some hands. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about. That's why there's so many cowards out there, really, honestly. Motherfuckers would rather shoot you than get punched in the mouth. Just like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And that's the fucking truth. But they don't even want to take the punch in the mouth. They don't even want to be seen. That's why they come on with profiles that are fake or don't have a picture, or they just make a profile just so they can comment negatively. And like I said before in the first segment, that's completely cowardly. You're just being a coward. And in that, I can't respect that. But anyone who definitely has some dialogue, I will listen to any dialogue. I will conversate with anybody about any subject, as long as you have actual dialogue. But when you start talking about you're a dumbass because of China and all that shit, then my patience has worn thin with you, and now I have to go in on your bitch ass. So, Edward said, devils. Sharon said, most of them are probably no longer here, but their lineage still lives. It's because of these type pictures that they are trying to stop schools from teaching the true black history of America, afraid that little Johnny may spot great grandpa in the photo. Woo! You better say it. Wow, Shannon, thanks for the comment. I do appreciate that. And that right there is true. That's true. So this chick, Mela, came back and said, you're family members. And then this guy, Shane, put an emoji of Fry from Futurama pulling his hair out and screaming, ah! Which, okay. Then Terry said, they're all in politics. They call themselves Dems. See? Again, back to politics. Back to politics. But I'll tell you what, it's not them. It's actually you. It's you. Because you're the one that has that ideology, and you're it really is. That's what they resort to. That's what they do the best. Republicans do that the best. They insult people. That's all they have are insults. That's all they try and do is insult or belittle you or make you seem like you're stupid. Those damn Dems, they're so dumb. It's so ridiculous. It's so fucking hilarious that that's all they got. That's all they got. They can't come up with anything hard. They can't come up with anything hard. It's always got to come back down to the Dems. What about y'all? Because a lot of this shit that's happening in the country is you motherfuckers. So I don't want to be, like I said, I don't want to get into politics. But damn, dude, it's like it's like motherfuckers don't want to see shit. It's like somebody that cuts you off in traffic, but then doesn't want to look you in the face. That's how Republicans act about the fucking the bullshit that the Republican politicians are into, or how they behave and act. Patrick said, Riddle is right. Like a crooked road. I came back with Terry. Probably not, though. Thanks for your comment. They're probably all Dems, and I said probably not, though, but thanks for your comment. Stefan, what's the point of this? Once the information is out, what exactly do you want society to do with these people who are being born, whose only crime is being born? People are not responsible for the crimes of their ancestors. So somebody said, Edward told Stephen, you're a comedian, I'm sure. Edward said, those children are the fathers and mothers of lawyers, doctors, law enforcement, pastors. They are the original domestic terrorists and part of the KKK. oh, yeah, leaders of the LGBT community. And I don't necessarily know where that came from, but I agree with the most of that up until the LGBT community. But maybe I'm not seeing something that you are. And if you are, please enlighten me. I would like to see that. Stefan said, it's scary that you think it's funny. Edward Fleming said, oh, good grief. Jorge said to Stefan to keep the Negro in a mental jail cell. He spelled it Kneegrow. Miles said to Stephen, explain that to the ones who are insisting on reparations because their ancestors were slaves. Stephen said to Murphy, I am. So let me tell you motherfuckers about reparations. And I do believe that the descendants of slaves, you motherfucking right, we deserve reparations. Look at this country. Look at what we built for you motherfuckers. And look at how much gratitude you have for it. 0. So yeah, you motherfucking right. But the problem was, there was reparations for us, but Lincoln paid all the fucking plantations. That's what happened to the reparations. But now, no thanks to you motherfuckers, there are actually talks about receiving reparations. People receiving descendants of slaves receiving reparations. Absolutely. Absolutely. They should receive the reparations for that, from that hardship that their entire generation, not generation, generations were put through to help us get a leg up, because we've been held under your thumb since we fucking got here, since you brought us here. And that's my thing. If you didn't fucking like us, why'd you bring us here? Why the fuck did you come get us? If you don't fucking like us, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Once this was over, we was just going to go back? No, that's not what they thought would happen. They thought that this was going to last forever, is what they actually thought. But when it didn't go their way, and all these free Negroes are running around here, man, did they get mad. Man, they got so angry. They got so upset. I think it's so hilarious that black people built the White House, but there's only been one black person to have the office of the president. But they're okay with it. That's all right. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with that? And the funny part is that they don't see what's wrong with that. Mark said, look no further than the Bidens, 100%. That was ridiculous. Another Patrick said, look no further than your ophthalmologist. You'll never get it. Thank you for that. K. Jason said, WGAFF. Where their ancestors are. That's like you blaming me for my alcoholic stepdad. Stop this BS. I said, K. Jason, bright. I didn't blame anybody for anything, and I didn't. I just asked the question, where are they today? Also, FYI, it's not BS to a lot of people. I most definitely will not stop. K. Jason? So if you want to jump on, man, and debate me, DM me. I'll have any one of you motherfuckers on my podcast. I don't care. We'll sit here and talk about it. I'll make you look, all of you look like fools. Because at the end of the day, you have nothing real, because you always resort back to hatred, back to name calling, because you're jealous. Now, I'm not saying about that. That's all people. I'm saying that's you guys. Look at the feet. That's jealousy. That's jealousy. You're mad. You're just mad that we're getting stuff. That's what you're mad. You're mad that we're even People are even paying attention to these niggers. You're mad. You're upset about it. But you know what? It's okay. It's all right. It is okay to be upset about it. You know why? Huh? Because this is America. And you get to be. You get to be upset. You get to be a racist. Or not. You get to be whatever you want here, pretty much. And I'll tell you what, to all the people with all the negative comments, thank you for commenting. I do appreciate it. I absolutely do appreciate your comment for a couple of reasons. One, it lets me know what kind of douchebags you really are. What kind of douchebags really are out there and how people actually feel, what they really feel, what people really want to say. I really want to know. I really want to know. And two, I thank you guys because you keep my listeners on their toes. You see how many people jumped on you motherfuckers? It's because this subject matters to them, even if it doesn't matter to you. And they, like myself, they don't care if it matters to you or not. They're going to try and jump at you with both feet anyway. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to lift a finger. And these people will eat you to pieces. So keep your negative comments coming. I love them. I absolutely love them. Thank you very much, because I'll tell you what, I love my haters. I do love my haters, because if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping right. And I got my shit popping. I like to think that I got my shit popping. You know what I'm saying? This is something that's real important to me. This is something that's real important to a lot of people. I've read a lot of comments today. 41 people have shared this. Let's make it more. Everybody share it. Let's force the issues, folks. Let's force the uncomfortable conversations. Let's force them out there. Y'all play spades, right? I know a lot of y'all listening to me, y'all play spades. Well, you know what? It's time to do a power check. It's time to throw down a trump card, see how many spades they got. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Deron Harris Podcast. I was supposed to take 2 breaks. Hopefully they could find a spot to take a break. But I'll tell you, when I'm talking, man, I just don't. I can't get off task. Otherwise, it won't go like I want it to go. I'll get sidetracked and I'll lose my train of thought, and I won't be focused on the content I'm trying to deliver. This is real important to me, folks. And I know that it's real important to a lot of you. And because of that, I will always continue to do things like this for you. I will always ask those tough questions. I will always take the heat from any racist that wants to stand up here and box with me. We can sit right here and box, my man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not afraid. We're not afraid no more. Oh, before I go, listen. I think this for all black folks. I think that everybody needs to see, if you got Netflix, go watch They Clone Tyrone. Okay? First of all, it's hilarious. Jamie Foxx is the motherfucking man. But you need to go watch They Clone Tyrone, because not only is it hilarious, it has some really, really, really good and deep messages in that movie. And whoever made that movie, thank you so much. And please, please start making more. Make more. Make more, because we need that. That's what we need. We need that. And I like how they did it, because the way they did it ensured that young, old, black, and white, everybody's going to watch this movie. Go watch it. Let's see. Do I have anything else, folks? Do I want to talk about anything else? You guys want to talk about something? Something? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, I don't know. I may have to do another one of these here in a couple of days because I know once this gets posted, people are just going to fly off the deep end again. And that's who I am, Captain Deep End. I like to jump in the deep end right off with no floaties. I jump right off in the water. Try to tread water as long as I can. I'm seeming to do pretty well at it, so I'm going to keep jumping. And hopefully I'll be able to keep giving you guys good content. I will keep giving you thought-provoking subjects to take with you. And maybe, hopefully, a little bit of education. All right? Thanks, folks, for joining me this week on the Darren Harris Podcast. I really do appreciate you. I would like to thank my mother and my father for making me. I want to thank my wife for marrying me and being the greatest wife in the world. And I want to thank my best friend and my producer and one of the whitest guys I know with the biggest heart and the most soul anybody you'll ever meet. I'm thankful for you, man. I really am. And this episode, before I made this episode, we had a really long talk about this episode, and I really, really, really appreciate you and your input and your commitment and your fortitude and your fearlessness and your guidance. I love you, man. I appreciate you. And I want to thank Gentry Thomas for giving me a platform to say this shit, because man, some of this shit is crazy. Some of the shit I say is actually crazy. But it comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of concern. It comes from a place of passion. I want this to change. And this is one of the ways I think I can making a positive change. This is one way I think I can affect a little bit of change. 40 some odd people shared it. 180 some odd people liked it. A few people loved it. And that means that it touched people. And that's good enough for me. So I want to thank you guys. I want to thank everybody that's listening. I want to thank everybody who used to listen and doesn't anymore. I want to thank the future listeners that are coming in. I want to say that I'm thankful for all of you. And I do appreciate it every single week. This has been the Darren Harris Podcast, folks. I'll see you next week. Peace.
You've been listening to the Darren Harris Podcast. Subscribe to the show, give a good rating, and everything you need to know is at DarrenHarris.com.